The second one, I chose option 10, which is fraction comparisons, and it says to use a different strategy for each fraction comparison and explain your reasoning. So I listed the fractions here, and then I also listed which strategy I would use for each of them. So the first one that I did was common denominator, and I did that one for 3/4 and 5/8. So I wrote out 3/4 and 5/8, and then I needed to find a common denominator between them. So I saw that there was 8 and 4, so I just chose 8 as the common denominator, and so I changed 3/4 into 6/8 by multiplying 2, and then 5/8 was already 8 as the denominator, so I really didn't have to do anything to it. And then my reasoning I wrote down here, I said I first found common denominators for both fractions. 3/4 is the same as 6/8, and 5/8 remains the same because I had to find common denominator, which is 8. So now when I compare the two fractions, 6/8 and 5/8, I see which one is greater, which is 6/8, which is the same as 3/4. For the second one, I did common numerator, so I did 4/5 and 6/7, and I wrote out 4/5 and 6/7, and then I needed to find a common top number between the two, so I decided to choose 12, and so I did 4/5 times 3, which is 12/15, wrote that below here, and then I did 6/7 times 2, which is 12/14, so that way the common numerator is 12. And then I found that 12/14, which is 6/7, is greater than 4/5 or 12/15. And then down here I wrote, I figured out which fraction is greater by making both numerators the same. I did this by multiplying 4/5 by 3, which turns the fraction into 12/15. Then I multiplied it 6/7 by 2, which turns the fraction into 12/14. Then I compared 12/15 and 12/14 to see which one is greater, and the one is greater is 12/14, which is the same as 6/7. Then for this one, I did compare to the half. I did 2/9 and 6/7, and for this I wrote out 2/9 and 6/7, and then I was like, well, I got to find what is half of 9/9 and what is half of 7/7, so that I know what to compare the two numbers to on top. So I did that, and then I compared them to that and saw that 6/7 was greater than half and 2/9 was less than half. So I knew that 6/7 was greater than 2/9. And then my reasoning up here, I said I saw that the fractions I was comparing are 2/9 and 6/7. I decided to compare both fractions to their halves. I first figured out what would equal half of 9/9 and 7/7. Half of 9/9 is 4.5 over 9. And half of 7/7 is 3.5 over 7. After I figured out what the halves were, I compared 2/9 to 4.5 over 9 and 6/7 to 3.5 over 7 to see which one was more than half. I found that 6/7 is greater than 2/9. And then the last one I did, the missing piece, I did 3/34 and 2/23. So for this one, I wrote them out, and then from that, I subtracted the numerator from the denominator. So I did 34 minus 3, which equals 31, and 23 minus 2, which equals 21, and then I did 31 over 34, 21 over 23, and then I found that 21 over 23 is closer to 1 than 31 over 34. And then down here I just wrote, I noticed that both of these fractions are bigger fractions, so I decided to use the missing piece strategy to figure out which fraction is greater. I subtracted the numerator by the denominator for each fraction. 34 minus 3 equals 31. 23 minus 2 equals 21, which changed the fractions to 31 over 34 and 21 over 23. Then I compared the two fractions to see which one is greater, and the one that is greater is 2 over 23.